A team of highly skilled military specialists battles a terrorist threat destined to rule the world. Sounds like G.I. Joe. It's not. It's Action Force. This is the mythology of Action Force.
Gentlemen, the world is in terrible peril from this man, Baron Ironblood, an evil genius who is determined to rule the world.
Action Force was created by Palitoy, a British subsidiary of General Mills. Palitoy was the UK licensee for Hasbro. They had previously adapted the 12-inch G.I. Joe into Action Man to great success. But with the increase in oil prices affecting the cost of plastic, and the massive success of Kenner's Star Wars, Palitoy wanted in on the 3 3/4-inch action figure market. They adopted Action Man into Action Force, while at the same time, Hasbro was turning their 12-inch G.I. Joe into G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, to massive success. Both toy lines ran parallel to each other, with separate storylines and separate heroes and villains until they converged, and Palitoy brought the G.I. Joe toys into Action Force, sometimes with new names and as completely different characters. For many kids of the 80s, Action Force is G.I. Joe, yet the two different toy lines, even though they share much of the same DNA, produced two completely different mythologies. I've explored the mythology of G.I. Joe in a separate video, and this video will explore the lore of Action Force and their struggle against Baron Ironblood and the Red Shadows. This will not cover the Valaverse version of Action Force. Stay tuned as I may make a separate video exploring that mythology. Much of this research was done on the website bloodforthebaron.com. Thanks for the great work they have done in preserving the legacy of Action Force. Action figure mythologies have several creators. There are the incredible toy designers at Palitoy, Bob Reekin, Brian Turner, who created the characters and vehicles. But the mythology would not come fully to life until the characters were fleshed out in the pages of Battle Action Force comics. Battle was originally a war comic produced by IPC Publications. They began running features involving the Action Force characters in their battle against Baron Ironblood, and the feature was so popular it took over the book, turning the book into Battle Action Force. You can read all of these comics by purchasing the Battle Action Force Treasury Edition, link in the description. The major storylines from Battle Action Force comics were written by Jerry Finley Day, who is considered the father of Action Force, although many other writers and artists also worked on the book. Later, when Marvel took over, the Battle Action Force evolved into Action Force and brought on characters that would be familiar to American fans of G.I. Joe. The Action Force comics would use some of the material from the original Marvel Comics run of G.I. Joe, but in addition, new stories were created by Action Force, with stories written by Dan Abnett. The Sunbow cartoon was also adopted for European audiences, with the major difference being instead of shouting "Yo Joe," the Action Force heroes would shout The theme song was also different, and Sergeant Slaughter was now Sergeant Slammer.
It's Action Force against Cobra, the enemy, fighting to save the day.
The fusing together of the mythologies of G.I. Joe with a different experience of those around the world who grew up with Action Force creates a completely unique version of G.I. Joe that has been here all along, right under our noses. So what is so different?
The latest attacks, led by Baron Ironblood and his evil forces, seen here in exclusive coverage, have forced the country to take action. With me in the studio tonight is the squad leader from the newly formed SAS and the head of the new Z-Force, Captain Grant Campbell.
Action Force collects some of the greatest Allied soldiers to unite against the evil Baron Ironblood and the Red Shadows. Under the command of Major Flag, Action Force is split up into 4 units. Z-Force. Z-Force is the ground assault unit led by Commander Grant Campbell. He is a playboy and CEO who joined Action Force in search of excitement.
And revealed tonight for the first time, the newly developed Z-Force battle tank. Supporting it on land, the SAS missile system, attack jeep, and the Z-Force cannon.
Also in Z-Force is the first female member of Action Force, the Swiss soldier Hedda Pulver, aka Quarrel. She is a martial arts expert and championship motorcycle driver who wields a crossbow with deadly accuracy. Other Z-Force members include Tracker, Gaucho, a former circus strongman, and Jammer, who may look familiar. Q-Force is the naval unit of Action Force, led by Jamie McLaren, codenamed Leviathan. Formerly a Royal Navy captain from Glasgow, he is described as slow-moving but quick-thinking. Q-Force also includes Hawksworth Whipple, aka Surfer, who drives the Sea Skimmer, and Gareth Morgan, aka Dolphin, who pilots the Sea Lion submarine. SAS Force is the only Action Force unit based on a real military unit. The SAS, or Special Air Service, is a renowned Special Forces unit of the British Army known for its expertise in counterterrorism, hostage rescue, and special reconnaissance. Led by Commander Richard Buckingham, codenamed Eagle. Other members include the German Commando Quickfire, or the French diver Barracuda, who lost part of his foot in an encounter with a shark. Space Force exists to protect the Earth's satellites from Baron Ironblood, led by Chuck Connors, codenamed Sky Raider. Their members include Moondancer, who came included with the Triad fighter vehicle and has a life and death rivalry with the villainous Red Wolf, and Scott Walters, aka Kiwi, who lost his hand in an act of bravery and had it replaced with a bionic hand that has several attachment tools. The 4 units of Action Force wage war against the evil Baron Ironblood and the Red Shadows. The man known as Baron Ironblood was born Marcus Castles, the son of Swiss aristocrats. His family motto is Sanguino Ferris, meaning our blood is iron. A former soldier court-martialed for allegedly pushing a colleague out of an airplane, he raided a secret stash of Nazi gold and used it to fund his private army in a bid to take over the world. A brutal leader, he lures his soldiers in with the promise of riches and then hypnotizes them, turning them into relentless killers willing to sacrifice their own lives to further the Baron's cause. Their battle cry is, "Blood for the Baron!" The symbol of the Red Shadows is a skull and crossbones, used to signal they are somewhat like modern-day pirates. Baron Ironblood wears a peculiar-looking helmet. It is modeled after Ned Kelly, a notorious Australian criminal who created a bulletproof armor suit in order to use in shootouts with the police. The real Ned Kelly's armor was less than bulletproof. Although it protected the wearer from fatal shots, bullets penetrated the suit and Ned was captured, tried, and sentenced to death by hanging. Baron Ironblood is a madman known for murdering and abusing his subordinates. The Red Shadows are put through a brutal training regimen where failure or even hesitance may result in death. The Baron forces his soldiers to run an obstacle course, where the wrong step may drop them into a river full of man-eating piranhas, or cause a dozen grenades to rain down on them. Those who do not make it in time are gunned down by the Baron himself. Red Shadows who are captured by the Allied forces are no longer capable of functioning in society, and must undergo deprogramming. As the Baron's brainwashing make them so utterly devoted to him, they will commit suicide to help the Baron reach his goals. Baron Ironblood's right-hand man is the Black Major, a former Action Force member who has been brainwashed and turned to the dark side. He is described as completely emotionless. The Black Major eventually takes over as leader of the Red Shadows when Baron Ironblood abandons the organization to become Cobra Commander. Red Laser is a Japanese expert in laser technology. He operates the Laser Exterminator, a cannon so powerful it can take out a satellite in outer space. He is a repaint of Cobra Commander. Red Vulture is the vehicle driver packaged with the Shadow Track. He is an ex-getaway driver for a Paris gang and is described as having no friends. Isn't that sad? The being known as Red Jackal is a cyborg who hates Baron Ironblood even more than he hates the members of Action Force. He was once Anton Nabokov until a crash left him for dead. The Baron, seeing his potential as a driver, revived him, giving him cybernetic parts. His robotic skull gives him powerful vision. He drives the Hyena. Possibly the greatest weapon in the Baron's arsenal is the Roboskull, an aerial attack vehicle that can be used in aerial combat or in outer space. It houses a chamber that can be used to transport captured Action Force enemies and has the capacity to brainwash them. The Roboskull, designed by Bob Breakin, is considered one of the greatest toy vehicles of all time. Roboskull is piloted by the Red Wolf, an ex-NASA astronaut who trained with a Space Force member, Moondancer, and has a relentless rivalry with his former comrade. His specially designed helmet allows him to withstand the terrific G-forces involved when the Roboskull makes its maneuvers. One alternate version of Red Wolf's story claims he was a feral man found leading a pack of wolves. The wolves had taken him in and raised him after killing his explorer parents. The Baron humanized him and trained him to drive the Roboskull. He is an unpredictable warrior, especially in the phase of the full moon. Baron Ironblood is a military and scientific genius, and infuses his army with scientific advances gained by dangerous and immoral experimentation that shatter the boundaries of scientific ethics. In his laboratories, he forces scientists to work on many of his horrific creations. The Mutons are nearly indestructible robots created by Baron Ironblood. Neither explosives or gunfire will scratch the Muton. Action Force resorts to dropping them off cliffs or freezing them or trapping them to find ways to take them out of commission. During a mission in Antarctica, Baron Ironblood uncovered an ancient being trapped in ice. The being was a kraken, an ancient amphibious monster. Baron Ironblood cloned the creature and turned them into an army of soldiers capable of breathing underwater. The Skeletron is a cybernetic skeleton originally created to pilot the Roboskull, but was later replaced with a Red Wolf. The Skeletron became a mail-away toy. The concept drawing of Skeletron explains it is a robot that has a will of its own, and sometimes will disobey its master. Ironblood blackmailed a scientist working on a revolutionary new bionic limb system to create the Skeletron's power grip. Once you are caught in its grip, there is no escape. Skeletron has powerful hind legs that allow it to jump great distances. Its only weak spot is the back of its skull. If you hit it in the back of its skull, you may stun it or destroy it. Baron Ironblood and the Red Shadows attempt many horrific and evil plans to take over the world, but are thwarted at every turn by Action Force, until eventually the Red Shadows begin to fall apart. Baron Ironblood sees the end coming, and being the psychotic mastermind he is, he does not just let it happen, he makes it happen, betraying his own soldiers and casting aside his old identity to become the Cobra Commander. The Baron enacts a plan where he holds the world at ransom for over 200 billion pounds. Once he is paid, he kills the hostages anyway. The move enrages the world, and the Allied forces vote on a resolution to allow Action Force free rein to wipe out the Red Shadows. Captain Campbell and Buckingham hunt down the Red Shadows. The Baron disowns his men. He hires a designer to create a new suit for himself, hires a snake expert to teach him the ways of the snake. He begins to study the ways of the cobra. He makes himself immune to all snake venom and surrounds himself with snakes. Red Jackal, determined to get revenge, hunts down his former master to kill him. He tracks him down to a jungle temple and finds him in his new identity as Cobra Commander. Red Jackal attacks, but Cobra Commander has a vial of acid waiting for him. He tosses it in his face as the Red Jackal screams, "Destroy!" But he doesn't get the full word out. However, Red Jackal has one card left. He has gotten access to Cobra Commander's money and can wipe it out at any moment, destroying all hope or future of Cobra. So the commander keeps him alive, and they begin an uneasy alliance. But he changes Red Jackal's name to the words spoken as the Jackal pathetically attempted to kill him. This is the UK origin for the name Destro. As Palitoy discontinued the Red Shadows to make way for Cobra, a new era of Battle Action Force begins as G.I. Joe characters are brought into the Action Force world. The Cobra Commander of Action Force is much more cunning and ruthless than the one known to fans of G.I. Joe. His plans descend into an evil never seen in the pages of G.I. Joe comics. In one such plot, the commander steals children with high IQs and forces them to breed to create a master race. He places them in a school and teaches them the ways of the snake, even forcing them to file their teeth into snake-like fangs. He wears a ring that can expel a lethal dose of cobra venom and surrounds himself with venomous snakes. Destro, once known as Red Jackal, is not the noble Destro we know, but a vile, honorless cyborg bent on killing his master, Cobra Commander. Action Force is now led by Field Commander Duke, a Yank from Boston, Massachusetts. Many of the characters known from G.I. Joe are incorporated into the story, but are now soldiers from all around the world. Recondo is from Australia, Footloose from Glasgow, Quick Kick from China, Beachhead is a New Zealander, while the members of the original Action Force occasionally are brought back into the fold for certain missions. Eventually, the Red Shadows return under the command of the Black Major, searching for revenge against their former leader. In the world of Action Force, the comic book exists as a true-to-life chronicle of the battle between Cobra and G.I. Joe. It is a recruitment tool. This is detailed in an issue of Action Force where Cobra Commander takes over the production of the Action Force comic to control the narrative. He makes a comic detailing the success of Cobra and uses it as a recruiting tool. That is, until Action Force puts an end to it. And possibly one of the strangest stories, Cobra and Action Force team up against the Red Shadows, working with Nazis led by the still-living Adolf Hitler. When Marvel took over the comic book, the era of Battle Action Force came to an end, giving way to a new version of the team. Action Force is taken over by Marvel UK, and we get an entirely new story with many familiar faces. Flint is the man in charge, and he harbors a relentless hatred for Destro after Destro shot Lady J in the skull, almost killing her. This Destro is not the honorable man from the Marvel comics. He is a ruthless and greed-obsessed killer. Many characters overlooked in the US Marvel comic get a moment to shine here, such as Quick Kick. Killed off and left as an aside in the Marvel run, Quick Kick gets a starring role as he hunts down his former friend Michael Enke, who has become corrupted by a cult called the Cult of the Two-Headed Serpent. It is at the end of this issue that it is revealed Quick Kick may have been trained by one of the greatest martial artists of all time and the son of Fu Manchu, Shang-Chi. Marvel UK run ended in 1988, ending the Action Force story. But as is with all things from the 80s, Action Force survived in the minds of the kids that played with the toys and read the comics, and new interest in Action Force has created a revival. New stories have brought the Red Shadows into the Devil's Due run of G.I. Joe, and later the IDW run, and later Larry Hama brought the Red Shadows into the Hamaverse, making the Red Shadows officially canon. Former Hasbro toy designer Bobby Valla purchased the name Action Force and is producing a line of toys as well as accompanying comic books using the Action Force name. And a company called Skeletron has produced an incredible new version of the Roboskull, while those in search of new versions of the Red Shadows can purchase a full set of Fresh Monkey Fiction's Order of the Crimson Moon, and by mixing and matching heads, you can make a Baron Ironblood, Black Major, Red Jackal, and the Red Shadows soldiers to go up against your G.I. Joe Classified, or whatever you prefer. Action Force lives on, now introduced to an entirely new audience. I, for one, spent my whole life obsessed with G.I. Joe, but had no idea the Red Shadows existed until maybe 5 to 10 years ago. Had I known there was an entirely different evil terrorist organization to pit against Duke and Scarlet and Quick Kick, oh, I would have been all about that. And this is the mythology of Action Force. If you want more Action Force, check out the website bloodforthebaron.com. I also recommend Analog Toys' 5-part series on the Action Force toy lines. Links to all my research are in the description. Please like and subscribe for more action figure mythologies. And if you're from Europe and this was your version of the story and you want to deep dive into the alternate US version, check out my video on the mythology of G.I. Joe.